In the third year with Joel, I caught him fooling around with another girl. He fastened the girl's bra, then lifted his eyes to look at me. It's just a marriage alliance. Don't take it too seriously. I'm going to marry you in the end anyway. I only slept with someone else once. What are you making a scene for? I didn't cry or make a fuss. I just turned and left in silence. His friends joked that the little tail behind him had disappeared. Joel held the new girl in his arms, completely unconcerned. Just wait and see. Someone as soft-tempered as Selena won't keep this up for more than a few days before she comes back begging me to make up. But for months in a row, there was no sign of me at all, until that night, when Joel, borrowing courage from alcohol, dialed my number. He heard my choked sobs on the other end. He smiled and said, "So, you know you were wrong? Then come back. I forgive you." But unexpectedly, a man's low, husky voice sounded over the phone. "Such a baby. I haven't even used any force yet. Why are you crying?" At the moment Joel's breathing stopped, I couldn't help wanting to laugh. It was only a marriage alliance. I had merely slept with his uncle once. What was there to make a scene about? Chapter 1. After getting a WeChat message from my roommate, I hurried to bring her clothes to the school. Under the tree by the entrance, a familiar McLaren was parked there. It was Joel's. When I got closer, I realized the McLaren was rocking nonstop. From the slightly open window came the tangled sound of a man's and a woman's panting, mixed with the girl's short, sharp cries. Then the faint musky scent of sex rushed straight at me. Only then did Joel notice me standing by the car window. He rolled the window down, lit a cigarette, and his expression did not change at all. "What are you doing here?" Before I could speak, the girl leaning against him with seductive eyes slipped off the torn stockings from her legs and tossed them aside. "Selena came to bring me something." I stood there, looking at everything in front of me, yet my body would not stop trembling. My boyfriend of 3 years had cheated on me, and the person he cheated with was my roommate. Seeing how pale I was, Joel let out a mocking laugh. "I only slept with someone else once. You're not actually mad about that, are you?" I clenched my hand, my fingertips digging into my palm, and tried my best to stay calm as I asked him, "Shouldn't I be angry?" Joel suddenly laughed. "Selena, it's just a marriage alliance. Don't take it too seriously. Anyway, I'm going to marry you in the end. I only slept with someone else once. What exactly are you making a fuss about?" Every word he said felt like a giant hand squeezing my heart so tightly that even breathing became painful. "Joel, let's break up." I did my best to control myself and said those words as steadily as I could. But unexpectedly, Joel suddenly lost his temper. He slammed his fist against the steering wheel, and the car horn blared, sharp and piercing. The birds in the tree were startled into flight, scattering in panic. "Your family was the one that came to mind asking for this marriage alliance. What right do you have to talk about breaking up?" After saying that, Joel seemed to become a different person again, with a faint smile curling at the corners of his lips. "Fine, break up. Then, Selena, I'll be waiting for the day you come back begging me to get back together." Chapter 2. I walked back alone along the small path, utterly dazed and lost. The lights were dim, and the moonlight hung coldly over me. Everything from the past played through my mind like a revolving lantern. Joel and I had grown up together ever since kindergarten. Our families were close, so in elementary school, middle school, high school, and even university, we were always together. When we were in elementary school, whatever Joel ate, he always shared half with me. Back then, the adults would joke that Joel was spoiling his future wife. He would laugh along and stuff candy into my mouth. "I'm going to marry Selena and make her my wife." And I became Joel's little tail. Wherever he went, I followed. In middle school, there was a boy who liked to tug on my braids. When he saw me cry, Joel got into fights so often that he ended up with a disciplinary mark and forcibly turned into the school bully. At that time, seeing him covered in wounds, I could not help crying again. He wiped away my tears with his thumb and smiled helplessly. "Be good. I only fight so you won't cry." In high school, inside an empty changing room, Joel coaxed me into responding to his kiss. He said that since my first kiss was his, then I had to stay with him for the rest of my life. So when we turned 18, we were finally able to be together openly. Both families were delighted, so they simply settled our engagement. just waiting for us to graduate and get married. Now, as I walked along the winding road, I seemed in a daze to see the teenage Joel standing before a tree, smiling at me. Suddenly, tears slipped down, and there was an indescribable bitterness in my heart. What was once sincere was real, but sadly, love can change in an instant. After that day, I spent a few days adjusting my emotions. Then I went to a gathering arranged by some friends. After pulling myself together, unexpectedly, I went to the wrong floor. The moment I reached the door of the private room, Joel's voice came from inside. After all these years with Selena, I got sick of it a long time ago. She's the conservative type. Even her underwear only comes in black, white, and gray. In bed, she doesn't know a single trick to please a man. Inside the half-open door, he sat in the seat of honor like the center of attention, with a pretty girl in his arms. You're the one who's fresh enough for me to like. When the girl heard that, she wrapped her arms around his neck right there in public and kissed him. Joel hooked an arm around her and deepened the kiss, only stopping when her face had turned red and she was left panting for breath. At that moment, the others were making bets. Joel and Selena definitely won't really break up. Who doesn't know Selena follows Joel around like a tail? He can't even shake her off. Exactly. Selena will at most throw a little tantrum. There's no way she'd really bear to break up. Their words pleased Joel greatly. His brows and eyes carried a smile as he fed the girl a mouthful of wine from his own lips. Then he lit a cigarette, his tone full of confidence. Someone as soft-tempered as Selena won't keep this up for more than a few days. In less than a week, she'll definitely come beg me to get back together. The people around him laughed and egged him on. So when that happens, Joel, will you agree? Joel lounged lazily against the sofa, his hand rubbed over the lace trim on the girl's thigh-high stocking. We'll see how I feel. Chapter 3. Inside the private room. Flattery filled the air. Looks like Joel is trying to set some rules for Selena. You definitely can't forgive Selena too easily. A woman with too much temper won't do. She still needs to be taught a lesson. That was what the people inside were saying. I was standing at the door, when suddenly the private room door swung wide open. Someone was coming out and opened it. The moment they saw me at the entrance, everyone started laughing. You were saying a week, but Selena couldn't even wait 3 days before coming to find Joel. Even Joel looked at me, the corner of his lips lifting slightly. Only, his arm tightened even more around the girl in his arms. Didn't you say you wanted to break up with me? So why did you come looking for me again? If you want to beg to get back together, fine. Drink this whole bottle of Hennessy on the table, and I'll think about it. He said it lightly. Someone tried to persuade me. Selena, Joel is giving you a way out. You'd better take it. Don't lose something important just to save face. If you leave Joel, you'll never find a man this good again. Someone brought the alcohol right up to my mouth, forcing me to drink. I shoved it away in one motion, caught off guard. That person dropped the bottle, and it shattered on the floor with a crash. Fragments of the broken bottle flew everywhere and slashed across Joel's face. A thin line of blood appeared on the side of his face. The atmosphere in the private room froze at once. No one dared breathe too loudly, and everyone stared at Joel without blinking. I looked straight into Joel's eyes and said, word by word, I didn't come here to get back together with you. I just went to the wrong place. I'm leaving now. Joel's face visibly darkened. There was a gloomy emotion in his eyes. Tiny beads of blood seeped from the cut on the side of his face. After saying that, I turned and left. But after only a few steps, the loud crash of a cup smashing suddenly sounded from behind me. Even when I reached the elevator, I still seemed to hear Joel's friends saying, Selena's just acting tough for the moment. She absolutely can't let go of Joel. She'll definitely come apologize and beg to get back together. Hearing that, I let out a mocking laugh, shook my head, and stepped into the elevator. Since childhood, I had always followed the rules, been obedient and well-behaved, the perfect good girl in my family's eyes. Everyone believed that after so many years with Joel, there was no way I could let him go. But people can change. When the most obedient person turns rebellious, that rebellion is the wildest of all. Chapter 4. By the time I rushed to my best friend's private room, they had already started. A few of them crowded around me, saying I was late and had to drink as punishment. Because of my family, and because of Joel, I had rarely drunk alcohol before. But that night, I drank glass after glass, dissolving all my emotions into the alcohol and letting them scatter away. My best friend wrapped an arm around me and cursed Joel out. What a piece of trash! Does he seriously think Selena can't live without him? There are 5 billion men in this world. He's not the only Joel. Come on, I'll take you to find something exciting. That night, after getting drunk, my best friend took me to another venue. Because I had a 10 o'clock curfew growing up, I had never experienced this kind of thing before. Ignoring the phone that kept ringing, I simply turned it off. I watched as my best friend sat on the sofa and waved her hand again and again. The men in front of us changed batch after batch. In the end, she was finally satisfied. She found 5 male models to sit around the two of us. She grabbed my hand and pressed it against a male model's abs. Selena, try it! Once you treat men like disposable toys, you'll suddenly feel enlightened. Don't care about the outcome, just enjoy the process. My drunken eyes were hazy, and I could not even tell where the abs were. Then I only heard an angry shout. Zoe! How dare you hire male models? Zoe, who had just been making grand speeches a moment ago, wilted immediately as Marco carried her away by the waist. She still did not forget about me. My bestie is still here. Don't leave her behind. Marco jostled her in annoyance. Relax, I'll have someone take her back. When I was half supported and led outside in a drunken haze, my nose was filled with a faint pine scent. Watch your step. Through my blurry vision, I vaguely saw a strikingly elegant face, and his voice was especially pleasant to hear. This time, I gathered the courage to do something I would never have dared to do before. Do you want to come with me tonight? After saying that, I waited carefully for his reply. The man supporting me froze for a moment. My hand climbed onto his sharply defined abs, crawling upward, then gave them a squeeze. With that face and that body, I was definitely not losing out. 10,000. Come with me. Maybe because I had drunk too much, my voice dragged a little at the end, carrying a hint of coquettish softness. Later on, I did not know when we had gotten to the hotel. I stood on tiptoe and kissed the man first. The burning kiss grew hotter and fiercer as the temperature rose. The moment he pulled my leg up and hooked it around his waist, I thought to myself, this 10,000 was really worth it. Chapter 5. When I woke up, it was already broad daylight. Out of habit, I turned over, only to be pulled back into an embrace by a strong arm. I met a pair of cool eyes and exquisitely handsome features. For some reason, I felt a little awkward. It was my first time hiring a male model, and I had no experience. But I had to admit, for a first time, I had eaten very well. After holding it in for a long time, I finally could not help but speak. Good morning, WeChat or Alipay? The man's expression stiffened for a moment. Seeing him like that, I added, I didn't bring cash. If that really won't work, did you bring a POS machine? I can pay by card too. I braced my sore, weak body and reached for my bag, but he grabbed me and pulled me underneath him, feeling his burning body heat and his intense gaze. I swallowed. Did this industry also do buy one, get one free? By the time I finally left, my legs were weak. I did not give him a single cent. The only thing that changed was that there was now someone called Oliver on my WeChat. Zoe's situation did not seem too good either. She only woke up in the afternoon as well. After my phone bombardment reached her, she first let out a piercing shriek. Did you check his health report or not? A calm male voice sounded from beside her. Seeming to say something, she immediately calmed down. Then it's fine. The one you slept with wasn't a male model. He was my husband's brother. This time, it was my turn to let out a piercing shriek. My best friend kept clicking her tongue. Selena, honestly, only you could do this. Who would have thought Oliver, that eternal iceberg, would one day get melted in bed? I was on the verge of collapse. Does that even matter? I treated him like a gigolo. That's so unfair to him. You didn't pay him, right? If you didn't pay, then it doesn't count as hiring. Oh right. I'm super curious. Oliver's been abstinent for years. Is he actually any good in bed? Tell me about it. Chapter 6. Using the excuse of going on a week-long trip with my best friend, I waited until all the kiss marks on my body disappeared. Only then did I dare go home. Maybe because for so many years I had always followed the rules and been obedient. When I made up some random excuse for not answering the phone that night, my mom believed it. Until that evening, Joel's family invited our whole family over for dinner. I did not want to go, but I pretended to be sick and my mom dragged me out of bed anyway. "You're about to get married, so why wouldn't you go?" I hugged the blanket and listened to my mom nag. After a long while, I asked tentatively, "Mom, what would happen if Joel and I didn't get along and broke up?" My mom's face changed immediately. "What happened between you two?" "I'm telling you, an important figure has emerged from his family's old household. Their family is thriving now, and your father's company is at a critical stage of transformation. We can't do without their family's help. If there's any conflict between you and Joel while dating, then you need to go along with him a little. Breaking up is absolutely not an option." As I listened to her, I suddenly remembered what Joel had said that day. No wonder he was so certain that I would go back and beg him to reconcile. So our relationship had long ceased to be just about the two of us. It also represented cooperation between our two families. By the time I dawdled and finished getting ready to go to Joel's house, the sky was already dark. After exchanging the usual greetings with his parents, everyone sat down at the dinner table one after another. As usual, Joel sat beside me. Only now the way he looked at me was mocking and teasing. He lowered his voice by my ear. "Selena, have you figured out how you're going to beg me yet?" I turned my head away and did not respond. The family dinner had not started yet, and Joel's father explained with a smile. "Joel's youngest uncle has come from the capital. We'll start once he gets back." As he spoke, several people began talking about this man who was the true power holder of the family. Their words were full of praise and respect. For a moment, I became curious too. What kind of person could make even someone as arrogant as Joel look up to him? "Sir has returned." At the servant's announcement, everyone at the table stood up at once and looked toward the entrance. I stood up as well, and then I saw Oliver walking in with steady, powerful steps. Chapter 7. Selena. "What's wrong?" Seeing me frozen there, Joel's mother asked with concern. I pulled my gaze back from Oliver, my legs a little unsteady. "It's nothing. I might just have low blood sugar." "Then sit down and eat quickly." After the greetings and pleasantries, everyone slowly sat down and started eating. I kept my head lowered and only dared eat the dishes in front of me, not daring to look up. Under the table, a foot suddenly pressed against mine and rubbed against it. I thought it was Joel messing with me out of boredom. I stomped down hard on it, but then I heard Oliver suck in a sharp breath. In an instant, everyone at the table looked at him. Joel smiled ingratiatingly. "Uncle, what's wrong?" Oliver's gaze slowly swept across my face, and he said a few light words. "It's nothing." The meal continued as usual. At the table, Joel's mother brought up the matter of Joel's and my marriage. "Selena and Joel are both seniors now. It's about time to start preparing for the wedding." Then came the sudden sound of chopsticks hitting the table heavily. The corners of Oliver's lips curved slightly as he looked straight at me. "The wedding?" I kept my head lowered. At that moment, his foot had already hooked around my calf, pinning it between his legs like a threat. Joel smiled with careless insolence and deliberately said, "Selena, you still haven't told your parents that we already." Pressured from both sides, I shot to my feet. "Sorry, I'm not feeling well. I need to go to the restroom." I almost walked out in a stiff, awkward rush. I kept splashing cool water on my face, and only then did that restless heat finally fade. After struggling with myself for a long time, I decided that, at worst, I would just let my parents know that Joel and I had already broken up. No matter what, there was no way I was going to lower my head to him. After making up my mind, I pushed the door open and came out. But the moment I stepped out, I crashed into someone's chest. An arm wrapped around my waist and pulled me into the storage room nearby. That familiar pine scent filled my nose. Oliver lifted me up and pinned me against the door so that I was level with him. "Why didn't you reply to my messages after that night?" I remembered that after that night, both my best friend and I had assumed it was just a one-night stand. But now, Oliver used one leg to push my knees apart. For some reason, I did not dare say it, and could only stammer out an excuse. "I didn't see them." Oliver kissed me too suddenly. I was completely unprepared as he broke through all my defenses. Footsteps suddenly sounded outside the door. It seemed Joel had opened the restroom door and voiced his confusion. Selena? The moment he heard Joel's voice, Oliver kissed me even harder, sensing my unease. He practically pressed his entire body against mine. Focus. He bit lightly on my lip, then pried my teeth apart again. The hand at my waist tightened more and more. The oxygen in my lungs was slowly being stripped away, feeling like I was about to suffocate. I weakly pounded at his chest and let out muffled, pleading whimpers. That sound must have alerted the person outside. The footsteps beyond the door came closer. My back was pressed tightly against the door, with only the door between us. A knock sounded, as if it were striking directly against my heart. Joel tried turning the doorknob from outside. Selena? Selena, are you in there? Chapter 8. Oliver pressed one hand against the door, leaning close to my ear. He steadied my slightly trembling body. Selena, are you scared? I nodded. A mist rose in my eyes. I still had not told my parents that Joel and I had broken up. If they found out that something unclear was going on between Oliver and me, the outcome was easy to imagine. He lowered his eyes to look at me, a faint smile in them. Don't be afraid, I'm here. The moment the door opened, the corridor light rushed in all at once. I pressed myself tightly against the wall. Through the gap by the latch, I saw the look of surprise on Joel's face. Uncle? Why you? Why are you here? He tried to peer inside, but Oliver blocked him completely. Do I need to report my whereabouts to you? He had almost no expression, his voice as cool as his whole person. Of course not. Joel cleared his throat, looking awkward and restrained. By the way, have you seen Selena? I don't know where she ran off to. I have. Where is she? Oliver gave a soft laugh, his gaze brushing over me, half hidden by the door, as if by accident. My heart nearly leaped into my throat. I covered my chest and shook my head. She went to the garden. After respectfully saying goodbye to Oliver, Joel headed toward the garden. I let out a breath of relief. Just as I turned to leave, someone lightly hooked a finger around mine. When I looked up, I met Oliver's shimmering eyes. Could you stop ignoring my messages? His voice was very soft. The last syllable lifted slightly, and somehow it sounded almost coquettish. My heartbeat skipped, then slowed for half a beat, and I fled in a panic, until I ran into Joel. He blocked my way and demanded, "Where did you go?" I shook off his hand and stepped back a few paces. What the hell is it to you? Joel was not angry. Instead, he smiled. He lit a cigarette, then blew the smoke into my face. How is it none of my business? You're my fiancé. When he saw me coughing from the smoke, the corner of his lips curved slightly. After all, don't you still need to marry me and use my family to help your dad's company go public? In your dreams. I'm going to tell my parents right now that I'm not marrying you. I had barely taken a few steps when Joel yanked me back hard. Selena, have you had enough? Let's make a bet. Do you think your parents care more about profit or your feelings? The engagement could not be called off rashly. Only after I got home did I tell my parents everything, from Joel cheating on me to the fact that we had already broken up. I only kept Oliver's existence hidden. I had thought my parents would stand by me and decisively cancel the engagement. But after hearing me out, my father was so angry that he smashed a cup and slapped me across the face. His family is at the height of their power. Of all times, why did you have to make trouble right when the company is at such a critical moment? So what if Joel likes to fool around? Can't you just turn a blind eye? As long as you secure your position as Mrs. Joel, what do all those women outside even matter? I covered my swollen, burning cheek, looking at him in disbelief. Even my mother tried to persuade me. Stop being willful, child. Go apologize to Joel and make things right with him. When she saw me standing there in silence, my father softened his tone again. Selena, your mother and I aren't trying to force you. All young men from powerful families are like this. No matter who you marry, you'll have to suffer these grievances. But Joel is different. He has his family behind him, and Oliver supporting him. You saw Joel's uncle Oliver today, didn't you? He's the only son of the main family branch, the true crown prince of the capital. With Oliver's protection, once you marry Joel, You'll spend the rest of your life above everyone else. This little bit of grievance is nothing. The parents I had once respected and trusted suddenly became strangers. I stumbled my way outside, step after uneven step, ignoring my mother calling after me, until my father said, "Let her go clear her head." Only then did my mother stop and watch me leave. I wandered aimlessly through the night. A lump of anger was stuck inside me, with nowhere to go. I called my best friend and poured out all the grievances of the night in a rambling stream, looking for comfort. There was a long silence on the other end, but the voice that came through was her husband's. "Zoe fell asleep. It's not safe for you to be out there alone. Oliver has already gone to find you." I refused instinctively. "No need. I can handle it myself." But before I could finish speaking, a car came to a steady stop in front of me. A warm coat was draped over me from above. Oliver gently wrapped it around me and pulled it snug, his voice tender and soothing. "Did someone wrong you?" Chapter 9. I do not know why. Maybe it was because Oliver's voice was too gentle, or maybe it was because his embrace was too warm. The emotions I had kept tightly wound up all night suddenly burst through their dam at that moment. My vision blurred. My tears fell like beads from a broken string, and I could not stop them. Oliver stroked my head, his voice calm and steady. "If you want to cry, then cry. I'm here." After I finished crying, I felt a little embarrassed. I curled up inside the clothes without saying anything. Oliver took me to the hotel. He filled the bathtub with water, then laid out the towel and bathrobe one by one. He adjusted the night light and arranged the bed so that I could fall asleep the moment I lay down. Then he straightened up. "It's very late. Wash up and get some rest early. I'll be in the room next door. My phone is on strong vibration, so if anything happens, you can come find me anytime." After saying that, he picked up his clothes and prepared to leave. I instinctively caught the corner of his shirt, my face burning red. I want a drink. It had to be said that alcohol was a powerful tool for numbing emotions and emptying the mind. After a few drinks, I was no longer as timid as I had been just now. Instead, I treated Oliver like a confessional and kept rambling on, until Joel came up, and Oliver's brows drew together slightly. "I can help you cancel your engagement to Joel." After thinking for a moment, he added, "The cooperation between the two families will remain unchanged. I'll also invest in it in my personal capacity." I lowered my eyes, holding my glass. "What's the condition?" Ever since I grew up, I had silently come to understand one thing. Everything in this world comes with a clearly marked price. If Oliver was willing to do all this for me, then the answer was obvious. Whether it was a passing whim or something else, at the very least, he was interested in me for now. I lowered my head and waited for his answer. He reached out a hand. I instinctively closed my eyes, thinking he was going to undo the buttons at my collar. But instead, his warm fingertips gently brushed over my swollen eyes. "The condition is that you have to be happy again." I opened my eyes abruptly, hardly able to believe it. "That's all?" "That's all." I became a little flustered and uneasy. For that brief instant just now, I had imagined Oliver asking me to be with him. I had imagined him asking me to be his bed partner. The only thing I had not imagined was that what he wanted was for me to be happy. Oliver still looked calmly into my eyes. Beautiful eyes should only shed tears of happiness, shouldn't they? I don't want my investment to become a bargaining chip, but I want even less for it to become your shackles. I froze slightly. It took me a long while to find my voice again. "You've done so much. Aren't you afraid I'll string you along?" It had to be said that Oliver looked very handsome when he smiled. Maybe because most of the time he had almost no expression and seemed stern and aloof. The slightest curve at the corner of his lips felt like a spring breeze. "Maybe you have no intention of fishing, but for you, I'm willing to be the one who volunteers, even without a hook. I'd willingly bite." That night, I lay under the soft blankets. Oliver sat in the chair beside the bed, handling work. The light fell over his cold, sharp features, softening them a little. I only felt that I really must have drunk too much, because my heart felt unbearably soft. Chapter 10. When my best friend and I sat together talking about this, she clicked her tongue in amazement. "Looks like my husband was right. Oliver really is like an old house on fire once it starts. It's impossible to put out." Hearing Oliver's name, my emotions rippled beyond my control. I took a big gulp of iced Americano, trying to suppress the heat rising to my face. What do you mean? An old house on fire? Zoe's eyes lit up, and she grabbed my hand, refusing to let go. Of course I mean this fire of love from you. It's practically going to burn him alive. My face grew faintly hot again. Don't talk nonsense. He's almost 30. He must have already had some unforgettable love in the past. How could that be possible now? Who said that? He's never dated anyone. I hesitated for a moment, still finding it a little hard to believe. Really? Zoe raised her brows slightly and pinched my cheek. Looks like our Selena has fallen too, caring this much about Oliver's romantic history. Of course it's true. Marco is so stubborn that if he hadn't met me, he probably wouldn't know what dating was either. If Oliver can be brothers with him, how much better could that big iceberg possibly be? After talking about Oliver for quite a while, Zoe suddenly brought up Joel. Apparently, he had recently been making a huge spectacle in Jiangqing while pursuing a younger girl at school. He had been giving away sports cars and luxury gift boxes, renting out the city's giant screens, and every night sending thousands of drones into the sky for public love confessions. The whole city was talking about it. For a while, countless people were waiting to see me cry and make a scene. I listened as my best friend angrily cursed Joel out. But strangely, my emotions stayed calm, without much reaction. Perhaps because I had completely given up on him. Everything about him had nothing to do with me anymore. It's fine. He can chase whoever he wants. It has nothing to do with me. My best friend looked relieved. Exactly. After that night, for many days in a row, Oliver insisted on seeing me once every day after work. Sometimes we had a meal together. Sometimes we watched a movie. Sometimes we just took a walk by the lake. Until one day, he took me into a pottery studio and held my hand while we made pottery together. I could not help asking my question. His usually calm face showed a rare trace of hesitation. I don't really understand it, but I heard that dates are supposed to be things like this. I lowered my head and shaped the clay. The strands of hair hanging down covered my burning face just enough. That day, we each made a pottery bowl and gave it to the other. That night, when the waiter brought over a delicate little cake, I froze slightly. Today is my birthday. I wanted to spend it with you. Is that okay? It had to be said that Oliver was a very polite man with an exceptional sense of boundaries. Being with him always felt relaxing. There was never any sense of discomfort. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I didn't prepare a gift for you. Oliver cut the largest piece of cake and handed it to me. Having you here to eat with me is the best gift. After I had eaten a few bites of cake, my phone suddenly rang. It was Joel. Where are you? That's none of your business. Still pretending to be tough. He suddenly let out a mocking laugh. I'm calling to invite you to celebrate the 1-week anniversary between me and my baby. At just the right moment, the sweet laughter of a girl sounded from the other end. If you're sick, go find a doctor. Don't come looking for me. I hung up the phone. Joel immediately sent me a video. In the video, he had a girl in his arms, surrounded by a crowd, cutting a cake. He smeared cake on the girl's lips, then turned and kissed her, amid the noisy cheering and jeering around them. Several voices came through clearly. Selena will cry herself to death if she sees this. Joel, she probably won't be able to sit still and will come looking for you in a minute. If I were Selena, I'd definitely regret it. If she keeps acting up, there'll be no way to take it back. How boring. They were really just blurting out whatever came to mind. I closed the video and directly blocked and deleted Joel in one go. Chapter 11. As for Oliver's birthday gift, I spent a long time choosing. In the end, I decided to have a tie custom made for him, along with a matching tie clip. The LV Starry Night tie and the diamond-studded tie clip complemented each other perfectly. Refined, yet not flashy, Oliver was steady and reserved, with a cold edge to him. This suited him perfectly. After rushing to the mall to pick up the tie, I looked at the tiny embroidered letter O at the end of it. I suddenly started looking forward to seeing what expression Oliver would have when he saw this gift. But before I could put it away, several people suddenly walked into the store. Joel came in with a girl in his arms, followed by several other girls. It was clearly the new girlfriend from the video last night, along with her friends. The moment they saw me, before Joel could even speak, the girls had already surrounded me. Selena, you really are impossible to shake off. Don't tell me you saw Joel was here buying Luna a bag and came on purpose to block us? Of course she did. She acts like she doesn't care, but she's dying of jealousy inside. What a shame. Now that Joel has Luna, even if Selena regrets it, no one's going to want her. The corner of Joel's lips lifted slightly. He waited leisurely for me to speak to him, but I simply signed the receipt and turned to leave, ignoring him as if he were air. I had only just reached the door when the bag in my hand was snatched away. Joel took the tie and held it up against himself. Hand it over! He dodged my hand and examined the tie carefully. Oh, so you knew my birthday is next week and had this custom made for me? Do you have delusions? This is for someone else. But the moment he saw the tiny embroidered letter at the end of the tie, he suddenly raised his brows and laughed. Selena, when are you going to stop being so stubborn with your words? My name is embroidered on it. How could it possibly not be for me? The tie is nice. I like it. So how about you admit you were wrong, and I'll reluctantly forgive you. I stepped hard on Joel's foot. My high heel ground into it viciously. While he was wincing in pain, I snatched the tie back. Stop dreaming. This is for my boyfriend. He just happens to have the same surname as you. Joel frowned in pain. His face darkened, and he said in a low voice, Boyfriend? You're dating someone? Yes. Which bastard is it? Is he not afraid I'll kill him? You're welcome to try. Joel took a deep breath and pressed his tongue against his cheek. Then he turned back and put on a smile again. Selena, you really have grown up. You've even learned how to lie. What a pity. I won't believe it. As long as I'm in Jiangqing, no one would dare date you. Even as I left, I still found it a little speechless. I could not understand where Joel's confidence even came from, and I understood even less how he managed to maintain such a beautiful mental state. Compared to him, Oliver really was so much better. So much so that when I saw Oliver, there was obvious admiration in my eyes. He opened the gift and laughed softly at the sight of the tie. Thank you. I really like it. You are too. And so is your gift. The start of things between Oliver and me did not have much of a sense of ceremony. Perhaps because of the way we had spent these past few days together. We simply ended up being together naturally. But the truth was that no matter how well dressed, refined, and gentlemanly someone looked on the surface, in bed, he could still be an insatiable beast. When the phone kept ringing, my eyes were already wet with tears, and I could not take it anymore, instinctively trying to crawl forward. But Oliver caught my ankle and easily dragged me back. I collided with his sweat-slick abs. That hard impact made me cry out before I could stop myself. My head felt dizzy, and my whole body felt like it was floating on clouds, unable to come back down to earth. My finger brushed the phone by accident, and the call connected. It was from a friend in our social circle. The background was noisy, as if they were in a private KTV room. The person asked loudly, Selena, aren't you coming to Joel's birthday tonight? He's drunk. Come pick him up. The moment I heard Joel's name, Oliver paused, only to thrust even harder. He bit my earlobe and asked by my ear when I was going to give him an official status. Tears spilled from my eyes, and my whole body trembled uncontrollably. I could only bite down on my knuckles hard, forcing back the sobs. Suddenly, the other end of the phone went quiet. It seemed Joel had told them to stop the music. My broken, muffled crying could be heard clearly through the call. On the phone, Joel laughed. So you know you were wrong now? Fine. Come back. I forgive you. Stop crying. I'm at Chang'an Club right now. Come find me. He got only halfway through before a man's voice cut him off. Oliver released the hand gripping my waist. His thumb brushed away the tears at the corners of my eyes, soothing my still trembling back. His voice was hoarse and dangerously seductive. Such a baby. I haven't even started using force yet. Why are you crying? From the phone came the sudden loud crash of a glass shattering. Then everything fell into silence. Even Joel's previously steady breathing stopped abruptly. Someone cried out, Joel, is your hand okay? It's bleeding. Get a doctor. Quick! The other end around Joel erupted into noise and confusion. I hung up the phone and could not help wanting to laugh. Hadn't he said it himself before? It was only a marriage alliance. Don't take it too seriously. I had only slept with his uncle, What was there to make a fuss about? Seeing me laugh, Oliver pushed against me in dissatisfaction. He pinched my chin and kissed me again, as if punishing me. He bit lightly on my lip. What are you laughing at? I wrapped my arms around his neck, struggling to catch my breath as I coaxed him to slow down. Weren't you the one who wanted an official status? I already gave it to you. Chapter 12. I had thought Joel would come looking for me, but I had not expected it to be this soon. It was practically the very next day. I had just come downstairs when Joel blocked me at the entrance. He was leaning halfway against the car, with cigarette butts scattered all over the ground at his feet. A bluish stubble had grown along his chin. When he saw me, he lifted his eyes, both of them bloodshot. They were crowded with thick red veins. It was Oliver, right? His voice was hoarse, carrying a trace of choked emotion. Yes, since he had come to look for me at Oliver's house in Jiangqing, he should already have recognized whose voice that was. Why did it have to be him? Why couldn't it be him? We faced off in silence for quite a while. Then Joel suddenly lowered his head and tugged at the corner of his mouth. Selena, I know you only went to Oliver to make me angry. Let's stop this. Break it off with him, and I'll pretend none of this ever happened, okay? I shook off the hand he had grabbed me with and stepped back a few paces to widen the distance. Joel, how long are you going to stay this full of yourself? I'm with him because I like him, not because I'm trying to anger you. You're not that important. Joel looked at his now empty palm. A breath escaped his throat, sounding like a scoff, or maybe self-mockery. You like him? How long have you even known him? Do you even understand him? I've known you for 20 years. Did I understand you? We grew up together and had once been inseparable. Back then, no matter how hard I imagined, I had never once thought Joel would cheat. But feelings always change silently, without a sound. We had long since stopped being who we once were. I had only taken a few steps when Joel's choked voice suddenly sounded behind me. Selena, do you really not want me anymore? I did not stop walking. Oliver is only after something new to play with. Do you think he's sincere? I made mistakes, but I never once thought about separating from you. But by the end of it, his voice suddenly dropped. I really do love you. I was wrong. Let's stop fighting and get back together, okay? A weight landed on my shoulder. A warm, broad palm closed over it. The moment he saw Oliver, Joel, whose eyes were already red, clenched his fists. Taking advantage of someone when they're vulnerable, what kind of person are you? Oliver's expression remained calm. I don't think this is taking advantage of anyone. I think you're just stupid. Bullshit. If you hadn't seduced Selena, she would never have left me. Joel, I used to think calling you stupid was overestimating you. You're not just stupid. You also have an absurdly high opinion of yourself. His tone was light, but every word was like a blade stabbing into Joel's heart and twisting. First you cheated, then you humiliated and threatened Selena over and over, hurting her completely. What gave you the right to think she wouldn't leave? She's an independent person with a self of her own, not an accessory that belongs to you. You never respected her, and you never cared about her feelings. That day, Oliver took me away, leaving Joel standing there like he had lost his soul. Ending the engagement turned out to be easy. So easy that Joel's father and mother did not even dare say much. All they did was keep scolding Joel for what he had done. Oliver sat in the seat of honor, his tone calm. You taught Joel into becoming this foolish. Can he really manage the company in Jiangqing properly? Joel's father bent at the waist, wiping sweat from his forehead that was not really there. Then what do you mean? First, he should learn how to be a decent person. Then he can learn how to run a company. With one light sentence from Oliver. Joel's father packed Joel off abroad to toughen him up. Before leaving the country, Joel still had not given up and wanted to come find me. But his own father beat him once, then kept him under house arrest, where he drank himself numb every day. When my parents found out that the person in the marriage alliance had suddenly become Oliver, they were overjoyed. My father even took the initiative to come to me and seek reconciliation. He asked my mother to cook all my favorite dishes and told me to come home. For some reason, my chest felt blocked and heavy, and I did not want to go back. Getting the marriage certificate happened very suddenly. So suddenly that when Zoe looked at my marriage certificate, she clicked her tongue in amazement. I kind of get now why you went silent when you found out I got married. Back then, you were probably thinking about chopping me into mince, weren't you? I stirred my coffee, a little speechless. Back then, Zoe and Marco had been on the verge of breaking up 1 month, then suddenly got back together and got married. Wanting to chop her into mince had already been one of my gentler thoughts. You're overthinking it. You weren't that big. On the eve of the wedding, I suddenly received a package from overseas. Inside was a pink diamond of exceptionally high clarity. It was exactly 7.24 carats, the same as my birthday. Along with the pink diamond came a video. Half a year had passed since I last saw him, and Joel had grown much thinner, his brows and eyes worn with exhaustion and gauntness. He first apologized to me. Then, after a long silence, he looked up again, his eyes rimmed red. He drew in a deep breath and tried to sound relaxed. I asked someone to find this pink diamond for me 2 years ago. I wanted to use it to make a proposal ring. Now, let it be your wedding gift instead. In the past, it was my fault. I relied on your love and acted recklessly without any restraint. Oliver was right. I really should learn how to be a decent person. Selena, I sincerely hope you'll be happy. I had grown used to Joel's arrogance and pride, so the Joel in front of me now felt unfamiliar. And yet once upon a time, many years ago, when we were deeply in love, Joel had been very good to me. But somewhere along the line, at some point I had not noticed, everything had changed. Even after the video ended, I remained a little dazed. What are you thinking about? Oliver set the pink diamond aside and pulled me into his arms. I looked at the crystal chandelier overhead, my thoughts in disarray. I was thinking that right now, our relationship is very good. But years from now, could we change too? Oliver absent-mindedly kneaded my palm. If I wanted to make you happy, I could swear that I'd love you forever. But I won't do that. Why? I'm a businessman. I know that vows aren't reliable. No one can predict the future. Suddenly, he helped me sit up straight and went to the study to bring back a stack of agreements. I had these drafted up a while ago. There were many clauses in the agreement, listing all of Oliver's assets. But after listing them all out, every single one of them was assigned to me. What is this? I looked into Oliver's eyes, calm and gentle. I've thought about this before. If one day in the future I lose my senses and do something wrong, then I definitely wouldn't deserve forgiveness. For you, the best way would be to take all of my wealth, tear away my flesh and blood without mercy, make me suffer terribly, and let reality punish me. As he said this, he handed me the already signed agreement. The future is unpredictable, but I love you, so I'm willing to give you the confidence to leave me, so you don't need to worry. No matter when it is, the power will always be in your hands.